Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 22 of the F124 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. If you missed out on the video that went live last weekend from Brazil, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. We did a bit of a Hail Mary strategy, and it actually worked quite well. So as we return then here to Vegas, we are currently P8 in the Drivers' Championship, locked into a battle with Oscar Piastri. The last two Grand Prix, Oscar and I have finished less than a tenth away from each other, so I think this rivalry is going to battle on right to the end of the year. This weekend, Charles Leclerc, it looks like he's going to be able to try and crown himself as world champion. He actually did this as well on F123, was able to lock up the world title here in Vegas. So yeah, he'll be once again looking for a big result. And I was having a bit of a look through all the stats. I didn't realise that we've had 8 different winners so far this season. None of them have been Max Verstappen, which is just an absolutely staggering feat. Both Ferraris, both Mercedes, both McLarens, Alonso and myself, but Red Bull haven't taken a win yet. So could Verstappen finally come good this weekend? Honestly, I'm not putting my money on it. We've had a couple more upgrades come through that have brought us up to 5th best overall. Now you can see behind VCarb, but it is all incredibly close up towards the front of the order. But yeah, get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 5k subs here on the channel at the moment. And yeah, let's head out to Vegas. Well, we had a bit of a stinker last weekend in Brazil right the way throughout qualifying. It was only the kind of the banzai strategy that we attempted in the Grand Prix that ended up saving our weekend and still allowed us to walk away with a pretty respectable points haul. I'm hoping Vegas is going to suit us a little bit more. It's not, admittedly, the AI's best track on the calendar. Generally speaking, the faster the circuit, the slower the AI seem to be inside F124. Especially, obviously, yeah, when you've got the huge back straight as well of the strip. But yeah, that being said, though, obviously the walls are close. I seem to be fairly unlucky here as well with mechanical issues in recent times, so hopefully that isn't going to be a concern as well. But yeah, just trying to keep it tidy and dialed in is going to be the big goal. Well, Lance Stroll there goes fastest. Carlos Sainz immediately puts an end to that little moment here, as we've got, yeah, plenty of cars coming over the line. Hulkenberg, quickest in the Haas. Now that's a backmarker car inside this series. That's very impressive. I think he's been carried along by plenty of slipstream on that lap, as well, times are continuing to improve there. Alonso, there's a 29.4. Where are we going to end up as we try and put the power down up towards the start-finish line? I think we're probably going to be around the 1:30 mark. We do a 29.5 in the end, so that puts us in P2. Well, trying to be really strategic then as we get ready for our final lap here, and I'm going to try and give our teammate Sergio Perez a bit of slipstream up towards the finish line. We'll just make sure he's close enough to us out of the final corner, and hopefully, oh no, I've not quite timed that as well as I hoped we would. Perez will sneak by there, so hopefully he will let me straight back through. He goes up into P5 though, so we've done a pretty good job there of trying to coordinate this, but I'm expecting to see more times improve right up towards the end of the session here. Of course, where this Vegas circuit is so cold, it really does require a lot of rubbering in. But yeah, Alonso, he will lower his benchmark at the top of the order. We are admittedly just over a tenth away from that. Sainz now will make it a Spanish 1-2. Alex Albon and Williams go up to P5. This could be a big opportunity for them to score points towards the end of the season. As, yeah, just making our way past the sphere. A little bit of a mistake there. That's going to cost us a couple of tenths. Charles Leclerc looking to wrap up his World Championship this weekend. He will move up into P3 then, so we're still not in a bad spot right now. But yeah, just this lap isn't quite coming together the way I wanted it to. Throw it right up towards the wall on the exit as we make our way out onto the strip. And you can still see we are 2 tenths down at the moment, but we're going to keep trying to find time as we make our way in towards the final sector of the lap. Just take out the ERS. When you get onto the DRS, there's a little bit of strategy to it. It isn't just using battery absolutely everywhere around this venue there. It's just try and get the car to sit a bit more stable over the curbing there. 2 tenths up as we make our way towards the finish line. But we're going to lose a bit of delta as I've used too much battery. I think we're going to get between the Ferraris. We get ahead of them. It's P2. Well, that has got to be one of the weirdest grids we've ever seen. And still, this series continues to throw up surprises there. Alonso takes pole, less than half a tenth ahead of ourselves. Ferrari lock out the second row. Alex Albon in P7. Nico Hülkenberg in P9. Valtteri Bottas, half a tenth away from Max Verstappen in that kick Sauber, which I think is quite impressive as well. Mercedes really struggled. 16th and 19th for Lewis and George. Again, George Russell slower than Zhou Guanyu. And yet with Albon and Hülkenberg inside the top 10, still Sargent and Pourchaire at the back of the field. Even Ocon against Gasly as well. I think we're going to be in for a bit of a shock here as we head into the Grand Prix. Tsunoda, I'm sure, will be gutted down in P15 in that V-carb. But anything can happen, so let's get into the race.
After all the parties, after all the talk, after all the speculation, drivers and fans alike can't wait for this one. Welcome to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The heart of Las Vegas has been replaced with sold-out grandstands spanning 17 corners, 3 straights, 2 DRS zones. It all adds up to a total of 3.8 miles. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Fernando Alonso lines up on pole position, and Mr. Monaco completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid we have Sainz, Leclerc, Stroll, Norris, Albon, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Iwasa, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Zhou, Ricciardo, Russell, Ocon, Sargent, and Théo Pourchaire. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, I think P2 is one of our best ever grid positions in this series, to be honest. Obviously, we took that pole at Singapore, but generally speaking, this has not been a qualifying car over the course of the year. It is looking very, very overcast, though. I've never had a wet Vegas Grand Prix. I've never had a wet Jeddah Grand Prix either, but I am nervously waiting for that day to finally happen inside the F1 games as well there. But Alonso will line up on the pole. He's very, very good around this circuit inside F1 24 as well. But what will we be able to do as we head into the GP? 5 red lights, and not a long hold at all there, but it is going to be lights out. And away we go then. So as we make our way down in towards Sermon, that was not what I needed to do. Alonso did cover me off fair and square. Lucky that we didn't pick up any front wing damage in the process there, but we will somehow hang on to P2. And immediately I've given the Aston Martin driver a little bit of breathing room at the front of the order. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. I mean, for Leclerc today, I think Sainz basically needs to come first, or maybe he can come second with fastest lap. Otherwise, no matter what Leclerc does, he will be Drivers' World Champion. But I'm sure Charles, after a disappointing end last time out in Brazil, he will just be wanting to try and make sure it's wrapped up. And why not under the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip as well there as we make our way through this S-Bends through the end of Sector 2. 2 very characterless corners, but they do tend to kind of surprise the drivers as well. There's a lot of weight transfer in the back of the car through there, but Alonso, we've seen it plenty of times in the driver career mode. He is absolutely going for it on lap 1 to try and get a little bit of breakaway from the rest of your runners. Here comes Charles Leclerc back down our inside. So yeah, the Ferrari man, we're going to have to try and work with him early on to try and not let Alonso get away. Let's remember, the Spaniard just missed out on the win last weekend, so we'd love to get one here. But it really doesn't take long before the DRS schemes come into full effect around this circuit. And Mark seemingly is very well aware of that as well. I think Leclerc has got ever so slightly more pace than Alonso here, but if we can just try and work with the Ferrari man to close in, we'll see. We'll try and use the DRS this time around there. As I tell you what, that Ferrari has got good straight line speed. This Honda power unit has got the best gearing in the world. It's almost into, well, just nudging the back of Charlie boy. There's only so many times you can nudge the diffuser of the car in front and get away with it, but with Sainz and Stroll waiting in the wings as well, it's kind of the Ferraris, the Aston Martins, and me. Right, this time around, surely we're going to be able to get the run on Charles. We'll try and just save off using our battery until we're right up towards VMAX there. It does seem to be more effective at the higher speeds inside F124, which kind of goes against electric power. But there we are. But you can see now we are right on the cusp of the 1 second Mark II Fernando Alonso. So we'll just try and close that in a little bit more there. New fastest lap of the day. We go fractions quicker than what Sainz did. No idea what's going on behind me. I've never heard that radio message inside this game, but yeah, Carlos Sainz now has moved his way past Leclerc as well. So Ferrari have kind of tripped each other over here, and they've given us a bit of breathing room with Alonso at the front. I mean, I worked with Charles pretty well to get back in the range of the Spaniards, but I'm more than happy to work with the Spaniard to try and get away from everybody else. And here we go then, we'll try and get the run on Alonso this time, 225 miles an hour as we make our way down the strip, and you can just see that gap to Ferrari is really opening up a little bit further behind. Obviously, Alonso has won a race so far this year. I think it was quite early on in the campaign. I mean, there's been 8 different winners. You can't expect me to remember where each and every one has claimed victory. But, yeah, back past the Spaniard. But maybe he'll get the run on me almost immediately out of turn 3 there. This has always been one of the corners where the AI are ridiculously quick. We've got yellow flags out there a bit further back. And I think that might be one of the Saubers. I think that's Zhou Guanyu. That might be our first casualty of the night. Is it? I don't know. Maybe? No, it's a Merc, actually. Ignore that. It is Lewis Hamilton, who is out of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The second half of this season has been miserable for the Mercedes driver. And that's just even worse. Oh, here comes Alonso again. It's not really worth the fight. I mean, there's 18 laps to go with this race. As long as we stay with him in this Grand Prix, it's just simply not going to be worth trying to do anything crazy, at least in the first half of the race. I'm also looking at tyre strategy again. Obviously, that long overcut really worked for us last time out. Although I don't want to go that aggressive with it again, I am tempted trying to extend this first stint. Try and just get around kind of having to deal with slower cars for a little while. As Stroll now moves himself up into P3, so Aston Martin really are cooking around this circuit. No idea what's happened to Sainz, but even Norris has got in with the Ferraris. Again then, Alonso, you see that red LED flashing on the back of that car. He's just trying to harvest a little bit of energy as and when he can, and we will go right around the outside once again. I mean, this is one of the things that I'm not such a fan of with Vegas. I mean, yeah, if you get in towards kind of the final 3 laps, or you're trying to fight your way through from the back of the order, you have some really, really good battles. But if you're out in front, because of how ridiculously powerful that straight is, I mean, it's actually just in your best interest to work with the other car, which I guess is okay if you're teammates. But how often have we really raced with Perez this year, or the second half of this year? Well, Alonso then, just over these last couple of laps, seems to have dropped away slightly, so I wonder if he just took a little bit too much out of those tyres trying to build the gap up early on. He's going to dive into the pit lane, though, at the end of lap 11, so he's going to try and undercut us then in this race. It'll be, well, interesting to see where he comes back out. Lance Stroll then gets promoted into P2. Is he really no idea what happened to Carlos Sainz to drop away from that group? I'm hoping Alonso's going to come out in a little gaggle of cars as well. Obviously, we can't afford to pit this lap because we'll get in the way of Sergio. And annoyingly then, Alonso, he'll just get out in front. I believe that's of Oscar Piastri and that little group as well there. So Alonso's going to be pushing to try and get the undercut now. We've just got to try and keep these tyres in good nick and just get them a couple more laps. We're going to see basically all of our other runners into the pit lane then at the end of the very next lap. I still wish there was a bit more diversity in what the AI do for strategy inside this game, but Stroll, Perez, Sainz, Gasly all in. So that means we're going to have eyes on Alonso once again. That gap's 17 seconds as we start lap 13. We are going to box pit confirm this time round, but will Alonso get the undercut? It looks like Leclerc has been able to build himself up a little bit of a gap ahead of some of his rivals. But yeah, Stroll now might be locked into battle with Verstappen. Well, there's no doubt about it. Alonso has definitely been quicker than me over these last couple of laps, but has he been quick enough to try and get back inside that range there? As we're going to try and be nice and aggressive on pit lane entry. are actually fairly conservative in the end. I never quite remember exactly where the marker is there in the pits. But as Alonso makes his way then up towards that final corner, of course, we will get the shorter line through turn 1. We will have fresher tyres to the end of the afternoon. It played into our hand nicely last time.
Go, go! That was a fantastic stop. Faster than we were expecting. Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Just see the Aston Martin whiz around our outside through turn 1. We will safely be back in P2. But honestly, I've lost a bit more time there than I thought we would. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. Someone else has fallen to the wayside then. That's one of the Williams, I think. Probably Logan Sargent then out of this GP there as he's crawling along down the strip. So no idea what's happened to him. I can only guess it's a mechanical failure unless he keeps going round and he's had a spontaneous puncture. But could that cause issues? Oh, no, that's not good. That will definitely cause us issues. They're just nudged the wall as we try and make our way out onto the back. And there we go. Yeah, Sargent is out, though, of the Grand Prix. So disappointment in the end for the American at one of his home Grand Prix. Suddenly, recently, this game has been getting incredibly stuttery. And I've got no idea why. It actually crashed on me in the last race in Brazil. So I've got... I don't know how F124 has suddenly become less optimised. Well, less than 10 laps to go then. I'm just starting to get a little bit nervous here about Alonso's pace. And now I'm not. I can't see anybody stopped on the road. Well, I guess that works quite nicely for us then. Alonso was pulling away, but that also allows every other car behind to try and get back in the fight.
Think about how we handle the rest of this race.
And we're going to have an 8-lap sprint then to the end of the afternoon. So I'm going to opt for a set of the soft compound tyre and just try to really fly off the restart. But Alonso's been screwed over by that. We'll also get a new front wing though, which is good news for me.
Deja vu here, but there's a good opportunity to get this start spot on. Come on.
5 red lights once again here in Vegas. And it is going to be lights out and away we go there. And nobody knows what to do in terms of tyre strategy. Once again, well, Alonso will cover us off into turn 1. Verstappen now looking hungry. He senses an opportunity for a win that he has not seen all year so far. It has really been a disappointing championship defence for the Spaniard, but with Leclerc as well on those soft compound tyres, he is going to be cooking there. Here comes Verstappen down the inside. Oh, at turn 4, and we do make a little bit of contact through the turn, just kind of met in the middle there, and once more, just like we saw in the first start, Alonso able to pull away. Verstappen, you can keep trying to show the nose everywhere, mate, but it's not always going to work for you. Try not to skim the inside wall through the sphere. But immediately then, Alonso and I have got a little bit of a breakaway once more. Leclerc now has found a way around Max Verstappen once again, but once more Alonso, his pace off these restarts just seems to be absolutely relentless. And again, he's just trying to keep that buffer opened up. We're certainly not going to be in the DRS range at the moment. I mean, unless Leclerc's pace is rapid and he can get back to me, we might end up with... I mean, this red flag might leave us in exactly the same position we were in beforehand. I suppose we better try and claim fastest lap bonus point, which we will temporarily. 31.5. But admittedly, there are a lot of cars that haven't been in the DRS just yet or haven't been able to utilise it properly. We also use basically all of our battery there. And we're still not back in the range of the Spaniard. I'm genuinely pushing as hard as I can right now to try and get back in the range of Alonso. But he is just using his battery in all the right places. I know, of course, if we get inside the DRS range, then we're going to obviously get immediately just bags of free time and get back to him here. But Alonso, that Aston Martin seems so quick in a straight line right now. I just have not got an answer for him. 4 laps to go of this race. We might not be able to do anything here. Oh, this is going to be really, really close now as long as I get the run out of the onto the strip there. You can just see Alonso. He builds up that buffer once again, and will we get inside the range? I got no idea. I think we were just outside of it there. I'm still trying to save the battery where I can, but hindsight's a beautiful thing, and I probably should have just used a little bit more there to get inside that 1 second zone. The soft tyres are working quite well. I'm expecting to see, though, the mediums become the tyre of choice pretty soon. But still Alonso out in front. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm just focused on that gap. My eyes glued to the top left-hand side of my screen, but I think this time around we've gone and done it. There's the detection point. You can see Alonso having to save a little bit of battery as well, but we are in the DRS once again. With just 2 laps to go with the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Now we've got to try and charge back up the pack so we can actually do anything with it. Oh, Fernando Alonso is a wily old fox. How many times have I said that before in this series, and how many times have we seen him snooker away wins that we were never expecting him to there? We're basically back up to a full charge on the battery. But we're certainly not close enough this time round to go for anything. We've just got to try and reel him in and wait for this very last lap. There is a bit of me that dislikes the way that's kind of how Las Vegas Grand Prix tend to work inside these games. But, you got to kind of play by the system. The AI do. Look at Brazil last weekend. They're far too overpowered there. So, we've got to enjoy the advantages around the tracks that we can do as well here. Is one more lap to go then here from Vegas. We are finally tucked up inside the slipstream, inside the DRS once more. Alonso and I, we have absolutely dominated this Grand Prix. No one else has really had a look in at any point there. As we'll try and use a little bit of battery down this short chute. This middle sector, though, really, really tight, twisty and narrow. So trying to just get it all hooked up. So Leclerc, though, making just a little bit of a mistake, so he might not even walk away with a trophy as he looks dead set to claim the World Championship here. Alonso, he's just trying to play the games with us a little bit as we navigate our way out through past the sphere. One final time there, and just a little bit of contact with the wall. Just trying to make sure that we keep it clean and tidy and that we get the run out onto the strip there, a little bit wide on the exit of the corner. And now we're going to have to try and use the battery to try and get a little bit closer to Alonso once again. I mean, we've basically got a full charge at the moment, and Alonso, you can see that red LED flashing on that Aston Martin. Will we close up enough? Whoa, I thought Alonso was going to try and at least commit one way or the other, but he kind of sat in the middle of the road. We get our second warning for a collision with him. Alonso locks up. He's got no battery left, though. Can we get the run out of the final corner there? To the inside we go. Goodbye, Fernando. And our third dramatic finish in a row. This time round, though, it is the win.
Oh, yes, and so the celebrations begin, and well-earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. On the world-famous strip, they have passed the neon lights all the way to the checkered flag. They're heading to the top step of the podium.
Race victory and fastest lap as well. You can see how much, by the way, that fastest lap mattered to them today. They're looking for absolute dominance, and this seems to be their mission this year.
Here comes your top three, making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
Well, there we go then. We didn't take pole, but we did get the maximum 26 points from this weekend. And after failing to win a Grand Prix all year, suddenly we get 2 in the last 3 races there. It's a bit like buses race wins. You don't get any for ages, and then suddenly 2 show along at the same time there. Alonso P2, though, ahead of Charles Leclerc, who did just get a podium en route to his World Championship. Lando Norris in P4 ahead of Verstappen. 5 cars from 5 different teams making up your top 5 there. And I mean, we had Mercedes as well as Alpine as well scoring points there. So 7 different teams getting cars inside the top 10. It really does go to show just how insane next season could become as well there. Oscar Piastri rounds out the top 10, so we've got a nice healthy buffer over him in towards the final couple of races. No idea what's happened to Perez, but his pace has just fallen apart there with both Sargent and Lewis Hamilton failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do, though, to our championship? Well, it means that Sainz and Alonso once again are tied in at P2 there, but neither of them can close up to Charles Leclerc by the end of the year. Only 60 points is available now, I believe, and a 94-point buffer for the Ferrari man. Hamilton still in fourth ahead of Norris, Russell, Verstappen and myself, though I'd love to try and get ahead of Verstappen by the end of the campaign so we could have 4 Brits line astern in the championship, but I think that's going to be optimistic in the last couple of Grand Prix as well there. Let's just try and lock out P8 ahead of Oscar Piastri. Constructors-wise, Ferrari, yeah, they have done that one. Mercedes still with a healthy buffer ahead of McLaren, Aston Martin and Red Bull, but who will come out between those teams? It is still anybody's guess. Alpine, they've done a really good job there. I thought Alex Albon might be able to give Williams the overhaul this weekend, but Alpine do still hang on in that P8 position as well there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Qatar.